All right. So, self-described socialist, aka communist, Zoran Mamdani is elected mayor of New York City. CIA spook and Moms Demand Action activist and degenerate Abigail Spanberger has taken the governor's mansion in Richmond, Virginia. And Jay Jones, a former state assemblyman, texted another politician expressing the desire that his opponent at the time, Jennifer Gilbert's children, would die, saying, here's the quote here, I've got it. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. This guy, Jay Jones, has been elected the Commonwealth's top cop in Virginia as their attorney general. Imagine the idea that using a gun on someone's children would be your idea of getting them to have a policy change. It's absolutely disgusting. And this is all only 2 months ago today, after Charlie Kirk got executed in front of a live audience for being 10 times nicer to the degenerate left than I've ever entertained the idea of being, to the very public celebration of that by the entire left. But let's turn our attention to Ohio, okay? Things don't look so easy, in my opinion, for next year's midterms either. Amy Acton, as of yesterday's poll, is currently up 1 point over Vivek Ramaswamy in the gubernatorial election, and rumors are swirling all over the state house that Tim Ryan might jump in and form a very politically lethal ticket with her. And honestly, nobody at the top of the Republican ticket, nobody else at the top of the Republican ticket looks very exciting either. John Husted is in the battle for his political life against Sherrod Brown, and having been DeWine's chief and number one gun control advocate for all those years isn't helping him at all either. All that in light of the fact that last week's elections show a pretty nasty story, in my opinion, developing here, that the 2024 electorate wasn't so much a Republican Party turnout and might more accurately be described as a MAGA turnout, people who turn out for President Trump and not much more. So in light of all of this, in light of everything that's going on, and we could talk more and more, we could talk for an hour about everything that the radical left is doing, but all of this in context, one might rightfully ask the question, now everybody can see exactly what the left has in mind for people like you and me and Donna, who just checked in the comments section. If they ever get total control, now that we can see exactly what they have planned for us, what is the Ohio General Assembly doing to quickly exercise the political will, the political power that we, the people, have given to them, and start passing every law imaginable to make sure that we, the people, have the power to fight back against these people? I'm very glad you asked. Folks, I'm Chris Dorr. I'm the director here for Ohio Gun Owners. Welcome in to this, what I'm going to just label as the return to Ohio Gun Owners pretty frequent live streaming that we've done in the past, and that we would like to start doing again in the future. I don't know if Facebook's going to throttle this stuff. I don't know if the social media platforms that we are on right now are going to throttle us, but we're going to give it our level best. And we'll probably be putting money behind these in boosts as well. Don't forget, you guys can follow us as well on X. We are live streaming there right now at this exact same time. But we need bills to pass in the Ohio General Assembly. We're going to be talking about those bills tonight. We're going to talk about House Bill 382, which is the Second Amendment Protection Act by Tex Fisher. We're going to talk about House Bill 495, the Freedom to Carry Act by Representative Jennifer Gross. We're going to talk about House Bill 498, the Ohio Self-Defense Act. We're going to talk about the Ohio Public Safety Committee. We're going to talk about the chairwoman of that committee, Cindy Abrams. We're going to talk about Speaker Matt Huffman and a few other things I think you're going to like tonight. So folks, jump into the comment section before we start off. before we get too far into the weeds here, I want you guys to jump into the comment section. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. That helps us in a variety of different ways. It helps me to get to know you better. That's how I got to know people like Chris Laidlaw, who is checking in from Geneva, Ohio tonight, even though he hasn't put Geneva on there, because I know he lives in Geneva because he's been here for a lot of the Ohio Gun Owners live streams in the past. So please do that. It helps this video get seen by more people. It helps me get to know you and who I'm talking with. The comment section is open. The chat is live right now. Sometimes I will probably pop people's video or questions and comments up on the screen so that everybody can see them. Here's a comment from Chris Laidlaw. We need protection in place to protect us from the socialist agenda. Yes, we agree with that 1,000,000%, which is why Ohio Gun Owners is officially taking off the gloves. You see, let's just jump into the bills now. And you guys, again, just jump in the comment section with whatever questions you've got. If I can, I will answer them. Eric checking in from Castellina, Ohio. Welcome aboard tonight. But Ohio Gun Owners got started out of total necessity. We started Ohio Gun Owners because people like John Kasich was pushing red flags. The Republican Party was pushing red flags. People like Mike Haney, Stephanie Coonsey, John Eklund, all these people were pushing red flag laws as a result of things that happened in places like Parkland, Florida, and in Dayton, Ohio, in the Oregon district. We had to go to work hardcore to mobilize the grassroots all across the beautiful state of Ohio to not only push back against that stuff, but then to go on offense once we killed the gun control, to pass stand your ground law, to pass constitutional carry, both of which were watered down. And during the Biden years, we worked very hard to get language crafted and a bill introduced that would provide Ohio gun owners like you and like everybody else watching this right now a huge wall of protection against federal tyranny. Remember, at the time, Joe Biden and his administration was having press conferences on a weekly basis shouting, ban them, ban assault weapons. They were being very free with their intent on what they wanted to do to people like you and me. Remember that? I remember it. And so SAPA, the Second Amendment Protection Act, which my brothers and I first passed in Missouri, was a bill that's very simple. It simply says that Ohio law enforcement cannot be commandeered. It cannot be used. They are prohibited from enforcing federal gun control laws. Very common sense, very rational, reasonable thing to do in light of the fact that the highest elected officials in the land, in our country, were promising us, telling us that they wanted to ban AR-15s, ban AK-47s, outlaw 15-round plus magazines, all these different things. They were shouting these things. So we crafted that legislation, got a slew of Republican co-sponsors, and pushed and pushed and pushed hard for that. Previously in 2021, we passed constitutional carry and stand your ground law. I'd have to get back into the dates to get very specific about those things. But let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to December of last year. We had House Bill 52 by Rep. Mike Loychik on the docket. We had a floor vote on that bill, and it failed, but it got a majority of the Republican caucus in the Ohio House of Representatives. And hello, John Witt, we're glad to see you checking in. And the Jones is checking in from Jamestown. But we got the majority of the Republican caucus on board with that bill. They voted yes for it. The RINO herd joined with the Democrats to kill the bill on the House floor, but we got a full-blown vote. This year, this General Assembly, Mike Loychik is out. Tex Fisher, brand new state representative. Actually, he was there for lame duck of the year before. But Tex Fisher is now the bill sponsor for Ohio gun owners. Number one objective, it's the Second Amendment Protection Act. And we have 35 co-sponsors on this bill. Beautiful. We got a lot of people on the bill. We tweaked the bill. We sat down with the interested parties. We listened to people's concerns that they raised during lame duck session last year. We got the bill perfect. And as a result of that, we have people that are now co-sponsors of the bill that voted against it. People like Reardon McLean, Rodney Creech. They're now co-sponsors of this legislation because of the tweaks that we made to it. The bill is still robust. And quite frankly, I would say it's more robust than it was the last General Assembly. It's very clear and plain. It says Ohio cops are not going to be used for federal gun control. That bill was introduced again with the majority of the Republican caucus on board as a co-sponsor of the bill. We also did a lot of work on a bill called the Ohio Freedom to Carry Act. Remember when we passed constitutional carry, there was a lot of stuff that was gutted out in the amendment process during the Government Oversight Committee. I won't get into that, but but the Freedom to Carry Act simply says that if you own lawfully a firearm, if you own it lawfully, if you're not a criminal, you can carry whatever firearms that you've got with no begging the state of Ohio to do it. It comes back and it grabs everything. You guys be able to carry an SBR, suppressors, rifles, shotguns, whatever in your truck without being a criminal, as the way it should have always been with permitless carry or constitutional carry. Okay, so that's House Bill 495. But then we did a lot of work to introduce House Bill 498, which is the Ohio Self-Defense Act by Representative Beth Lear. When Ohio gun owners first started pushing for stand your ground law back in 2018 or 2017, maybe, we wrote the bill so that it included some major provisions in addition to repealing the duty to retreat law. We put criminal immunity in there. We put civil immunity in there. And we put an enactment clause that allows you to invoke self-defense protections before you get drug into court by an anti-gun prosecutor like they have in Cuyahoga County, for example. Of course, one RINO stepped in, ran an amendment, gutted all that stuff out, and then we snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And we only ended up repealing the duty to retreat law in Ohio. So we technically have stand your ground, but we don't have anywhere near what Ohioans deserve, especially when the radical left is celebrating death and destruction. And so that's what House Bill 498 is. It comes back and it grabs everything that was left on the table with stand your ground law. So all three of those bills have now been introduced. Obviously, they have bill numbers. The co-sponsor number is locked in for the session. And now we get to where we currently are. And I'm just going to jump into this. Speaker Matt Huffman, this guy right here. I'm going to switch sides right there because I don't like him having the OGO logo on him. This guy right here, Speaker Matt Huffman, who always played second fiddle on gun rights bills, who never really nothing major and substantive ever originated in the Senate on its own without massive amounts of pushing on similar gun legislation over in the House. This guy doesn't do anything on guns unless he is forced into doing it. Okay. This guy right here, Speaker Matt Huffman, just took the three most important gun bills that have been introduced in the 136th General Assembly, and he sent them to a kill committee. That's what Speaker Matt Huffman has just done. And to make matters worse, that kill committee, which in case you guys don't know what a kill committee is, a committee is a committee that the speaker has in place specifically to send bills to, that is composed of people who are totally loyal to him, especially the chairman of that committee, to make sure that those bills never get out of committee, that they never see the light of day. That's what Matt Huffman did with these three gun rights bills. And this right here, Actually, I'll pop this up digitally in just a second, but let me go back to this. This is the chairwoman of that committee, Cindy Abrams, that he sent the bill to. All right. And we're going to be asking people to contact sweet Cindy Abrams to get her to move these bills here very shortly. But I want to give you some context on sweet Cindy Abrams here. Actually, I think I have a photo. I'm just going to pop it up right here. This is Cindy Abrams right here. Okay. If you guys have been following Ohio gun owners for any amount of time, you guys will recognize her. This is foul-mouthed Cindy Abrams, who last General Assembly was walking through the Ohio State House rotunda right outside the chamber there, walking right down the hall of the right by the speaker's office, for those of you who've ever been there. She's walking down the hallway there. I'm standing there talking with another state representative, a great friend of mine, very good friend of mine, one of the best pro-gun legislators in the entire Ohio General Assembly. I'm standing there talking with this state representative, and sweet Cindy here comes walking up to me, and she's like, "Fuck you, Door." And for a moment, I was like taken aback. I'm like, I was raised in a proper home. I don't really expect that kind of language to come out of the mouth of a woman like this. Maybe I'm just a little bit of a misogynist in that regard, but I expect them to act a little bit ladylike, especially if, like, from the only Republican, I think maybe one of two Republicans to still come from Hamilton County down there. I know her district. I know her district very well. And there she is, this woman. She comes up to me and she's like, "Fuck you, Door." So I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't. Not allowed. I'm married, Cindy. I can't. It's not allowed. Took the vows. I don't have it on right now. Took the vows, Cindy. She came up to me and she said those nasty words to me, and I thought it was so disrespectful. Honestly, she apparently her parents never washed her mouth out with soap when she was growing up. I hear rumors all through the Ohio State House that Cindy Abrams here is one of the most foul-mouthed females you will ever find. Now, I'm a big boy, right? I'm a big boy. I have thick skin. After the shock of these foul words coming out of this woman's mouth kind of left me, I'm like, well, and I had politely declined, not going to happen. But then she went on after that to lead the charge in absolutely lying about House Bill 52, about SAPA, to the rest of the caucus. Okay. She stood there and told the caucus, she totaled blatant lies. She said that the bill would prohibit Ohio law enforcement from entering federal task forces on sex trafficking and human trafficking and drug interdiction and things like that. It's a total lie. Anybody who's read House Bill 52 or anybody who's read House Bill 382, this General Assembly, knows that it's simply not true. But in order to prevent her misrepresenting the truth on these bills, we went and put what we call belt and suspenders language into the bill. Okay. Belt and suspenders language is simply, it's like it does the same job twice, right? The first reading of the bill makes it very clear that nothing about the bill is going to stop Ohio cops from entering into these drug task forces. We want that to happen still. We definitely want them to stop the sex trafficking and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of pedos that have been around Columbus, Ohio. Just ask Les Wexner and that whole crowd over there. I mean, it just seems that there's been a lot of stuff that's been going on over there. And Jeffrey Epstein, of course, and his big ties to the Columbus cartels and stuff. But we put these belt and suspenders language in there so that everybody can even, like a third grader, even somebody who's as foul-mouthed as Cindy over here could understand that nothing about the bill prevented that stuff from happening. Okay, so we put that all through the bill. Somebody stood up last General Assembly and during lame duck when we were trying to get this floor vote and said that the bill stops Ohio cops from joining federal deportation operations. That is a total lie. You will not find somebody more supportive of the effort to get rid of 40 or 50 million criminal illegals than you will in me. Nobody gets to take that title for me. I want 30, 40 million of these people gone from this country that our founding fathers gave to us. They said, we give it to you for your posterity. Who is your posterity? My kids. I have 9 kids. I want the criminal illegals gone, sent back to the third world holes that they come from. So nothing about SAPA stops Ohio cops from doing that stuff. Cindy over here, she knows it. But yet she says this stuff. So we've made the bill just beautiful. It's just fantastic. And nothing she can say about the bill anymore should stop this legislation from passing. However, we're running into a problem because Matt Huffman, Speaker Matt Huffman, sent this bill to the committee that is chaired by the most anti-gun RINO in the entire Ohio General Assembly. Her right there. Here's an old picture of her. Time in the legislature has not been kind to sweet Cindy. You know, I'm not saying that things would have been different if she came up to me and said those awful things to me when she looked like that right there. But now she looks like that. It's been hitting her hard. But when Matt Huffman sent this bill to that committee chaired by this RINO trash ball over here, he was sending a great big giant middle finger to every gun owner in the state of Ohio who elected them to go to Columbus and fight for the Second Amendment in Article 1, Section 4 of the Ohio Constitution. Okay? That's what Matt Huffman did. Again, here's his picture. This guy right here stabbed every gun owner in Ohio in the back when he sent these bills to that committee to die. That's his intention. But now begins the political pain. Now begins what Ohio gun owners didn't want to have to do. We did all the nice work. We sat down and had hours and hours and hours of interested party meetings with these people. Had hours. We put belt and suspenders in this thing until they're blue in the face. This is the law. SAPA in particular is the law that Ohio deserves just in case we don't win the presidency in 2028. Trump's not going to be on the ballot in 2028. It's going to be the first true test of the Trump vote. Okay? This is the law that we deserve to have in place, and we need to have it in place because if you pass this law, House Bill 382, if you pass House Bill 382 after the next presidential election and it doesn't go our way, guess what? Whoever wins the White House, then it might be Josh Shapiro, it might be Gretchen Whitmer, it might be AOC. They get to appoint all of their stooges to the Ohio or to the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office, and you can dang well rest assured that they will file suit against the state of Ohio, even if we pass it then, and try to get it struck down in court. We are still fighting this out in federal court in Missouri, which is the only other state to pass it. And thankfully, we're making a lot of progress now, but we need to get this passed right now while Donald Trump is in office and while Trump's DOJ is staffed by people like, the former Attorney General of Missouri who was defending SAPA before the federal courts, Andrew Bailey. That's who's in charge over at the DOJ right now. He's one of the guys who's in charge over there. I don't have a lot of confidence in Pam Bondi. She's doing a lot of nasty things, but we have a better chance of SAPA being defended now than we do under a future anti-gun administration. This guy, Matt Huffman, is saying, go F yourselves We're going to send that bill to the Kill Committee chaired by the biggest RINO trash ball that's ever been elected to the Ohio General Assembly. And let's just get one thing straight here. Cindy Abrams is only a Republican because in her district, only Republicans can get elected. Here's what I mean by that. Let me unpack that just a second. If she ran as a Democrat, which is what Cindy Abrams is, if she ran as a Democrat, sweet Cindy over here, she doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of ever getting elected. So what she does is she registers as a Republican, and then she coddles up to the Republican establishment in Columbus, and she goes to bat as a Democrat dressed in Republican clothing, and she fights for the left's agenda. She opposes every single gun rights bill whenever it comes to the floor for votes. She's an anti-gun trash ball. She led the opposition against SAPA. She's not even, this woman, if you asked her to this very moment, would you vote yes on life at conception? She'd probably tell you no. She's never co-sponsored any life at conception. I mean, this is what I'm saying. She's anti-gun. She's anti-life. She's pro-abortion. She's pro-gun control. She just runs as a Republican because where she lives has dictated her party registration. She's not the only one in Columbus, by the way. Sweet Cindy here, who time has not been so kind to. Oh, gosh. Yeah. She's not the only one. And that's not the only bill that's happened here. So the same applies to the Freedom to Carry Act. The same applies to the Ohio Self-Defense Act by Representative Jennifer Gross and Beth Lear, respectively. And here's where it gets even nastier, okay? I mean, she's kind of nasty, but I'm kind of used to her being nasty, right? Like, I can deal with a foul-mouthed, emotional basket case of a woman who can't keep her emotions under control whenever she sees a guy that just exudes toxic masculinity like me walking around the Ohio State House. I can deal with that, right? She doesn't like it, but, I can deal with that. But here's where it gets a little nastier. Every bill that gets introduced at the State House, and by the way, folks, I'll talk about this in just a second, but Stephanie Stock from Ohio Advocates for Medical Freedom is also in the comment section right now. Thank you for being here, Stephanie. This is another bill that Speaker Huffman is sandbagging, even though he has the absolute mandate to pass total medical freedom right now. But here's the deal. These bills that are introduced by Tex Fisher, Jennifer Gross, Beth Lear, three fabulous pro-gun state representatives in the Ohio State House. These bills, everybody who sponsors a bill. Oh man, I got to put that comment up. That's a good one there, Chris. Everybody who sponsors a bill gets a sponsor testimony, right? We've had a lot of emails from you members over the years. Because usually about every December or November of an election year, during lame duck session, we start to see a lot of committee notifications that gun control bills are getting hearings. Well, as long as you introduce your legislation by a date certain or date specific, I think it's in October of every election year, you're guaranteed to have a sponsor testimony hearing where you get to come before the committee that the bill was referred to and introduce the bill to the committee, right? So we have been asking our legislators, Tex Fisher, Jennifer Gross, Beth Lear, please request the sponsor testimonies. We want to get those out of the way so we can move on to proponent testimony and opponent testimony and interested party testimony, blah, blah, blah. And here's what we're hearing back. It's a variation of, you need to go clear this with 14, which, by the way, the the speaker's office is on the 14th floor of the Rife building. So anytime somebody refers to the 14th floor, or you got to go talk to 14, what they're saying is you got to go clear this with leadership. Hang on just a second. So that's one of the things that we're hearing back. And hold on just a second, Stephanie. I'm going to drop my own action link there in the comment section, and you guys can all send a message to Speaker Huffman. There, I dropped our action link right there in the comment section. So that's one of the things they're being told. Go talk to 14 before we schedule this hearing. Another thing we're being told is that our bill sponsors are being told by basket case over here, Cindy Foulmouth Abrams, the chairwoman of the Public Safety Committee. You want to know why she got, this is I'm surmising this, by the way. You want to know why Cindy Abrams got public safety? It's because she was in law enforcement for about 5 minutes, and now she's a total slave to the gun control lobby in Ohio, which is the Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association with Lou Tobin as their lobbyist. It's Buckeye State Sheriff's Association, which testified in uniform against constitutional carry, and the Ohio Fraternal Order of Police, Michael Weinman, the guy who rolls around in his wheelchair and testifies against every single. So anyway, she has become the full-time stooge and slave of the gun control lobby at the State House in Columbus. And what our bill sponsors are being told is that they have to go and meet with the gun control lobby before Cindy here will arrange for a sponsor testimony. They have to have interested party meetings with the gun control lobby in order for Cindy here to schedule the bills for committees. When have you ever heard of a Democrat gun control chairman in any state in America tell a gun control bill sponsor that they've got to go meet with the NRA, meet with the state level gun rights organizations before they'll advance a gun control bill? It does not happen. And this is proof. This is proof. Right here, you're seeing it in front of your very eyes that Cindy Abrams is a Democrat in principle that was forced to run as a Republican because of her district. That's it. That's it. Because she is ripping plays right out of the Democrat playbook and trying to force good state representatives to sit down and compromise with the most degenerate lobbyists you've ever seen walk or roll around the Ohio State House, which is the case with Michael Weinman from the FOP. That's what we're seeing here. But I would be very remiss if I blamed all of this on sweet foul-mouthed Cindy Abrams right here. I'd be very remiss, because let's not forget one thing. Every single committee position in the Ohio State House, amongst all the different committees, the Speaker of the House, this guy right here, Matthew Huffman, this guy by himself decides which people serve on what committees and what their role is on that committee. Cindy Abrams is the chairwoman of the Public Safety Committee, and she gets probably I'd have to look it up, but I think it's around a $10,000 a year pay bump to be. She is the chairwoman of the Public Safety Committee because this guy right here, little Matt Huffman, made the decision deliberately to put her there. So the fact that these gun rights bills are being killed by arguably the most anti-gun RINO trash ball in the Ohio House of Representatives is because of this man right here. Nobody else. Nobody else. He made the decision to send these bills over there to the House Public Safety Committee. He made the decision to make Cindy Abrams the chairwoman of that committee. All right. So these are the odds that we're up against. Okay. And if you're like Eric, if you're like my buddy Eric right here, he says, I'm mad as hell. Eric, you absolutely should be. You absolutely should be. These people, when history will look back on this time frame that we have with Donald Trump in the White House, with the cultural Marxists still controlling all of America's institutions, history will look back on this time frame and be like, what did those in power who had the ability to act, what did they do? And it is not going to look back kindly on people like Speaker Matt Huffman. This guy, okay, and let's not forget something. Remember how Ohio has term limits, everybody? Remember that? Don't you know that? I mean, that's how, like, the good guys like Tom Brinkman, Paul Zeltwanger, Ron Hood, that's how all of the best Ohio state reps get axed out of office, right? Because term limits kick in and they're replaced by a RINO trash ball. Ohio has term limits. Guess what? The only reason that Matt Huffman is in the House of Representatives right now, instead of over as the Senate president like he was, is because he just got termed out there last year. So he did a switcheroo and he jumped ship. He jumped right back over to the House, and he and what's her name did a little switcheroo. Now she is the state senator and he is the state representative that came in as a brand new state representative, came in and became the Speaker of the House. Okay. So anybody who tells you that term limits work, they're full of shit. They're absolutely 100% full of shit. In Ohio, it's only been weaponized against conservatives. That's it. That's what term limits have gotten us in Ohio. Okay. So he jumped ship from the Senate, comes right over, and he's the Senate. He's the Speaker of the House. He wants to be an 8-year speaker. Think of that. Think of that. What's really embarrassing is that no state representative that was currently in office decided to like step up and say, yeah, go screw that. Screw off. You don't get to just come right over here into the House and take over everything. This is our house. Hold on. But that's the situation. That's what's going on right now. And lest you think it stops there, when I show you this, your blood is going to boil when I show you what's happening, because not only is this guy right here, we used to call Bob Cup when he was Speaker Cupcake. If you guys have any nicknames for this old shriveled up, worn out career politician that only exists to protect rhinos in this state, give me a great idea of what we should nickname him. Okay. But the gun bills, House Bill 382, House Bill 495 and 498, they're not the only bills that are being held up right now in the Ohio House Public Safety Committee. Let me talk to you about House Bill 1. Okay, check this out. Now, this is a great piece of legislation. I gotta hang on a second here. I gotta separate my screens for just a moment here. But can you guys see me on this now? Hold on a second. Can you guys see me? Hold on. Let me I might have to set up a new screen here for just a second. Hang on. Yeah, I better put that back over here. Give me just a second, folks. I need to make sure that this is working properly. So, no, not that bill. Maybe I'm on the wrong page. House Bill 382. Blah, 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 blah. No, I'm on the wrong one. Hang on just a second. Let me try this one. You guys, okay, there we go. All right, sorry about that. Okay, this is gonna make your blood boil. All right, let me tell you about House Bill 1. This bill. I'm gonna read the summary for you. That's been that was. Well, hold on. Where's it at? Yeah, I'm just going to pop this up real quick, and you guys might not be able to follow me here, but I'm just going to read this. House Bill 1, this is in the Public Safety Committee right now. And again, this is going to make your blood boil. House Bill 1 by Representative Angie King and Roy Klopfenstein. Listen to this. This amends sections of the ORC, the Ohio Revised Code, to modify the law that prohibits certain governments, businesses, and individuals from acquiring certain real property, and to name this act the Ohio Property Protection Act. This is House Bill 1. This is sitting in the Public Safety Committee. But this bill makes it so that, just to kind of put a rough summary on it, this bill makes it so that you can't sell, like that Chinese foreign agents and foreign governments and actors on behalf of nefarious foreign entities cannot buy Ohio farmland. All right? That bill is stuck in Cindy Abrams and Matt Huffman's Public Safety Committee. This is the most common sense piece of legislation that we could possibly pass right now in the Ohio State House. It makes pure and total sense to pass it right now when we've got a president in office that ran on the America First platform. Here is the most America First piece of legislation that you can possibly imagine. And it is stuck in the House Public Safety Committee on Matt Huffman's orders. How does that make you feel, everybody? How does it make, who the F is paying off Matt Huffman and stopping him from passing a bill that prohibits these foreign hordes from buying up Ohio farmland? Huh? Who is paying off Matt Huffman to stop this bill in committee? Because it looked for a little while there. Let me go back into it. It looked for a little while that this bill was going to move. You can see here under the committee tab, okay, you can see it was introduced where, hold on, let me just find, okay, let me go back to the status. Introduced on the 28th of January, okay, or introduced on the 23rd of January. Referred to committee, the Public Safety Committee, on the 28th of January of this year, again, right after Trump took the White House. All right. You have its first hearing. Again, this is when Roy Klopfenstein and Angie King testified in front of the committee and introduced their bill to the committee. Okay, that was March 25. On April 29th, over a month later, they had second hearing. Okay, this is when the proponents, those in favor of the bill, could step up and talk about how they want this passed. You have the Ohio Farm Bureau, the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, which is normally a conservative entity. Sometimes they get a little wishy-washy. You had the Attorney General's office saying, yes, we need to pass this so I can bar these foreign agencies, these countries, the Chinese, from buying this stuff. Ohio Land Title Association, America First Policy Institute, Pro-Family Legislative Network, Bernie Willis, state rep Bernie Willis came in and testified in favor of the bill. Okay, that was proponent testimony. Guys, you're not even going to believe what I'm about to show you. Okay, and then that was again, that hearing was on April 29th. You wait another month almost to May 20th. All right before they're going to go and take off for the summer. May 20th, third hearing, which is opponent testimony. Okay. Let's check this out here. Look at this. You have the Ohio Realtors Association. Of course, they're going to testify against any bill that restricts who they can transact property for. They're making a pile of money off of these people. Okay, so you got the Ohio Realtors. You got the Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association. Folks, Lou Tobin, their lobbyist, is the biggest gun-grabbing lobbyist in the entire state of Ohio. Okay, maybe he and Michael Weinman from the FOP could fight that out, but Weinman's in a wheelchair, so I guess my money would go on Lou Tobin here. The most anti-gun, one of the gun control lobbies is opposed, or he's interested party. Anybody, listen to this. Anybody who testifies as an interested party on a bill that outlaws the sale of Ohio farmland to the Chinese is an outright enemy of the people of Ohio. Okay, so any one of these interested parties, they're a total freaking opposition. Okay, here's where it gets really good. I hope you guys can see this. Let me make sure I can have it as blown up as I possibly can. Can you guys see that? I hope you can. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it a little bigger here. All right. Oh, that's just a little bit too big. Hold on. Okay. All right. Check this out. Look at this. Look who is opposed to House Bill 1 by these people. Angie King and Roy Klopfenstein. I think Roy Klopfenstein is a co-sponsor of SAPA this year. Angie King has voted for SAPA last General Assembly. Look at the opponents to this bill that outlaws the sale of Ohio farmland to the CCP, the Chinese Pooh Bear communists in China. Jin Wan. Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at her. I don't know if this is a woman or a man, but actually, bummer. It's not going to let me show you these live in real time. So that kind of sucks because I want you guys to see this stuff. But Ji Wan is opposed to the bill. Jay Kutifan, Wan Pu, Chris Malik, I don't know who that is. Wan Li, Wan Yi, Hao Kong, Yang Fen Yang, Kai Jing, Yang Zhang, Wing Chang Cheng. Who else? What do we got? Yang Fei Grace Lang, Anke Wang. Look at the opponents of this bill that lined up to testify against it. And this is in light of the fact that like there's been studies out that say that roughly 90% of every Chinese person in America is an agent of the CCP. Okay? Of course these people are opposed to this legislation. Of course they are. Look at this. Look at this. What the hell is Matt Huffman doing by not passing this bill? The hell is wrong with him? I see the articles. I see the stories just like you do. And finally, welcome in, Wendell Thomas. Took you a while, but you're here. I read the stories. I see the stuff where these people are buying up farmland. They're buying up real estate. They're buying up these properties that are close to military bases. They're close to natural resources. They're close to water reservoirs. We see this stuff all over the place. We see these operations that they've got where they've hacked into city water systems and can control things to the level that they can poison everybody if they want to. We see these operations where these foreign entities are setting up these I don't know, for lack of a better term, these systems that can take down cell phone service in geographical areas. We see this stuff all over the place. The hell is wrong with you, Huffman? What the hell is wrong with you? This is America. This is for our posterity. Why are you sitting there running interference from the communist freaking CCP, buddy. This is what we're up against, everybody. I could go on. I mean, I don't even know how long this keeps going. Huang Chen, Boli Wang, Daniel Chen. And honestly, folks, if you go into a lot of these, and when we noticed this when we first were taking a look at some of these testimonies, but you see the long hyphens in all of them, in the vast majority of them. In other words, these are all Chinese people. A lot of them are Chinese that can't even speak a lick of English, and they're dropping these things into AI and translating this stuff and submitting it to the committee as if they have, as if they've been living here for 5 minutes. Because you're not going to pop these open and see a bunch of Chinese hieroglyphics or whatever they call it. I know it's not hieroglyphics. I intentionally was a little derogatory. Let's go. Let's keep going. Hualing Chen. Yaoi Song, Zhong Lu, Fang Wang. Didn't Fang Wang already introduce the one? Hold on. No, it's Fang Quinn. Sorry. Got my fangs screwed up there. You know, the Yangs and Yans and Fangs and what the freaking flying. This is insane. Okay, but we're going to keep going. Where were we? I think we're right around Fang Wang. Fang Wang. Leo Li. Zhao Zhang Ji. Zheng Chao Wang. Another Feng. Feng Zhangli or whatever. Changyang Su. Lin Chai. Is that like a Qi? Denlin Shen. Yitling Jia. Song Tao Lu. Mark and Joanne Eilers. Sound like a bunch of white liberal pricks, don't they? Yeah, I think that's what they are. Yuxiang Huang, Huai Gao, Bo Zhang, Fan Wang. Okay, I got to ask, is Fan Wang any relation to Fang Wang? Huh? I don't know. It looks pretty close to me. Jonah Hilario. I mean, it's like they're mocking us, right? Jonah Hilario. It's hilarious. Hong Q, Hong Sheng Lang, Peng Guan, James. Thanks, James. Another white liberal prick. Wang Wang Long. You get the point here. Look at this. Look at this. If these people, if Speaker Huffman isn't getting massive kickbacks from the CCP, kind of like what was his name? Turtle, Senator Turtle. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm having this Mitch McConnell, the Turtle, like his wife, like a total CCP member, right? If these people are getting kickbacks, they're stupid. In addition to being absolute violators of their oath. So yeah, if you're not, are you mad yet? As my buddy Chris says, you should be. You absolutely should be. Because this is what Speaker Matt Huffman is defending right now. Remember how I said by him throwing the gun bills over into the Public Safety Committee, this lady's committee right here. Remember how I said that was a giant FU? This is Matt Huffman giving a generational FU to Ohioans on a scale I've never seen before. I cannot believe that every single conservative in Ohio is going along with this trash. Matt Huffman should be removed from office by the rest of the members of the House of Representatives immediately. In my opinion, what Matt Huffman is doing right now by subverting the people of Ohio and running interference for the CCP and all of these foreigners, these criminal invaders who are intentionally trying to subvert this country. How is that any less of an offense than what former Speaker Householder did? Huh? I mean, this is insane. This is absolutely preposterous. And this is before we even talk about the other things that Huffman has totally effed up, right? Redistricting. We could have got another district a congressional district out of the maps. But he protected Amelia Sykes. What the flying F are you doing, you brain dead maroon? Huh? We could have got a whole nother congressional district out of the redistricting process if, and let's be clear here, that's not only setting Ohio back, but that's setting the country back when he refused to do those kinds of things. And of course, he'll just side shift it and say, well, I'm not even on the committee. That's Stuart Little, or that's oh, what's his name? Brian Stewart. That's Stewart. Brian Stewart's on that committee. It's not me. Yeah, you put him there. What about property taxes? What is Matt Huffman doing right now? Oh, I know. Getting massive kickbacks for the Haslam family. Okay? $600 million or whatever it was for the Browns Stadium. Folks, I'm of the opinion, and I don't care if you're a Browns fan, these teams should buy their own freaking stadiums. Got that done. Screwed up on redistricting, screwing up on property taxes, killing the gun rights bills, and running interference for the CCP. That is Matt Huffman, Speaker of the House. Term limited. When the clock struck midnight this early year in the Senate, now jumped right over into the House and wants to be 8-year Speaker, folks. A lot of people sold Matt Huffman as the solution, and that just boggles my mind. Matt Huffman is very clearly the problem. Very clearly, objectively, to anybody looking, Matt Huffman is the problem. Ward Care says, yeah, quit whining. What are we going to do about it? Come up with a positive attack. Well, here, I'll tell you something, Ward. We've been up against these odds before, where there are speakers of the House, where there are actors within the legislature that do everything they possibly can to stop the gun bills from passing. We've been right here before, and quite frankly, we are the only entity in Ohio that does what's necessary in times like these. We mobilize the grassroots and we go after these politicians in their districts with a vengeance. So, Ward, here's the first thing I'm going to ask you to do. You please click the link today. You click the link right now and send off an email to the speaker and tell him to do his job, okay? Okay, I would appreciate that. We're not whining about anything here. We're very clearly identifying the problems that nobody else is identifying. It's pretty simple, quite frankly. It's not. So it's time for people like you, Ward, to get off the bleachers and stop pretending that you have all of the answers and start to take action yourself. Okay. Do you live in one of these people's districts? Have you called your state representative about these different things? If not, that's where you need to start. If you've done those things, thank you. That's the basics. Now you can graduate to the next level. Get involved in a Republican primary. Find somebody to primary somebody, a legislator in your area that needs to be exposed for what they are. See, this is a lot of hard work. A lot of times people who just sit actually on the bleachers and criticize everybody down on the field, they sit there as a way of alleviating the fact that they really don't do anything. So it's time for people like you to get involved as well. Okay? I don't mean to sound a little harsh there, but this is where we start. There are no silver bullets. Politically speaking, for the humor impaired when it comes to fixing problems like this. All right. It takes work. It takes time. Takes resources. That's why after you fire off your email, you're going to go to a donate page that asks you to send money to Ohio gun owners, because we go after legislators in their districts and we put pressure on them. Okay? That's what we do. That's why Ohio has constitutional or permitless carry right now. It's why we have the duty to retreat repeal. That's why we have a basics version of stand your ground law. Even though people at places like Buckeye Firearms Association said from the beginning, when we started with people like Candace Keller and Ron Hood and Tom Brinkman and Nino Vitale, they said these bills would never pass because the Republican power establishment in Columbus was just too strong. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. And I thank you, Wendell, too. You guys have been very faithful members of Ohio Gunners, and we thank you for that. All right, folks, this is what we're up against. Ohio gun owners is drawing attention to this, and now we start to put the political pressure on them. We've got a corrupt establishment in the state house in Ohio. And again, I talked about some issues here, but I didn't even get into the medical freedom side of things with Stephanie Stock. I'm going to have her on here. We're going to do a live stream all about the stuff that they're sabotaging on that side. Folks, I know that there's always this temptation by some people to say, why are you talking about these other issues? Why are you guys pro-life? Guess what? We found out over the years that if a legislator is not pro-life, generally they're not pro-gun. And if they're not pro-life, they're definitely not going to be a pro-gun reliable vote. All of these things work together because it forms a body of knowledge that composes people's principles. So all of these things are interrelated. They all matter if you're a gun owner who loves the Second Amendment in Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution. All right? So this is us taking the gloves off, and we tried to play nice. Like I said at the beginning of this live stream, we had hours and hours of meetings with legislator after legislator, interested party meetings at the Rife building with lawyers and policy staff and everybody you can think of for several years now. We tried to play nice, and Matt Huffman, I want everybody to understand this. Matt Huffman chose the route for Ohio gun owners to take now. Matt Huffman chose that route when he sandbagged all the pro-gun bills. Matt Huffman chose that route when he chose the CCP over the people of Ohio. Matt Huffman chose this course of action for Ohio gunners when he refused to draw the maps like he should have. Matt Huffman chose this route when he sent the gun bills to the Public Safety Committee. So we're bringing it all back. It's time for Ohio gun owners to go back to our roots. And quite frankly, we love it there. That's where we do our best work. So thank you for watching, folks. Please share this video. Tag your friends in the comment section. Thank you, William, Eric, Chuck Timlin. Thank you for being here. Wendell Thomas, Chris Laidlaw, Jennifer Thomas, the one who really rules the roost. Thank you all for coming here. Darren Stidd, my buddy. I owe you a call, Darren, by the way. Thank you for watching. Please share this video with all of your friends, family, loved ones, neighbors, coworkers. Screw your anti-gun friends. You shouldn't have those anyway. We will be back at least weekly now with a live stream. This is at least round number 1 for the week. And we'll see if we can do some more. Until then, folks, please click the link in the comment section, okay? Let me see if I can pin this. Please click the link and fire off an email to the Speaker of the House. I'm going to drop it in the comment section again. Fire off an email to the Speaker of the House and say, get off your lazy, betraying, worthless old ass. Get to work and do the people's business. Pass these bills out of the Public Safety Committee, put them on the floor, and we're going to pass freedom bills again. That's what the link right there tells the